But I still think that most people think of us as a very drug-orientated group. Of course we're not. You can trust us.
After their debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, reached number 6 in the UK, Pink Floyd found themselves at a critical crossroads. Syd Barrett, the band's visionary leader and principal songwriter, was forced to leave, his mental health unraveling under the weight of fame and heavy LSD use. Barrett had crafted the band's signature sound, an unpredictable mix of surreal lyrics and experimental melodies. But with his departure, that creative spark vanished. His distinctive style was irreplaceable, and without their founding architect, the band drifted, unsure of its direction.
After Sid went crazy in '68 and Dave joined, we were, all of us, searching, fumbling around, looking for, well, where do we go now? Because here was the guy who starts producing all these songs and was the sort of heartbeat of the band.
To make matters worse, Barrett's drug-fueled decline had left an indelible mark on the band's image. In the eyes of the public, Pink Floyd had become a so-called drug-oriented group, a label they were now eager to shake. With the arrival of guitarist David Gilmour, a new chapter quietly began. The band set out to redefine not only their sound but their identity as well. They began moving beyond Barrett's whimsical psychedelia, embracing a more atmospheric, refined, and immersive approach to music.
I started falling out of love with that some of that psychedelic noodling stuff.
Their sound grew deeper, more deliberate, less chaotic, more conceptual. By 1971, Pink Floyd had already cemented their reputation as pioneers of British psychedelic rock. Albums like Ummagumma and Atom Heart Mother showcased their growing fascination with expansive soundscapes and progressive structures. Yet, they were still searching, not just for a sound, but for a statement, a moment that would break with the past and signal something bold, new, and unmistakably theirs. That new thing came from filmmaker Adrian Mabin, a Pink Floyd fan. He envisioned a film that would blend the band's music with the works of surrealist and avant-garde painters such as René Magritte and Giorgio de Chirico. He approached Pink Floyd with this idea, but the band rejected it. They weren't interested in simply setting their music to abstract visuals. They wanted something more unique and immersive. Mabin moved on, but fate intervened. That summer, he took a holiday in Naples, and during a visit to the ancient ruins of Pompeii, he accidentally lost his passport. Forced to retrace his steps, he returned to the amphitheater, where he had been earlier that day. As he walked through the empty ruins under the fading light, he was struck by the eerie silence and the way the natural sounds of the wind and distant echoes filled the space. In that moment, inspiration struck. What if Pink Floyd performed here, playing their music not for a live audience, but for the ghosts of the past? Is that a good idea? Especially for a band trying to stray from the drug-oriented band label. A bit risky, but the band bought it. So, in October 1971, with access secured for 6 days, the ambitious project was set in motion. Filming began on October 4th, 1971, and spanned 4 grueling days. Unlike traditional concert films where bands perform in front of a live audience, Live at Pompeii was conceived as a performance for an unseen presence. The setting, an ancient Roman amphitheater buried by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, created an almost mystical atmosphere. The lack of an audience had a hypnotic effect, drawing the viewer's attention solely to the music and the performance. The film stands in stark contrast to other concert movies of the era, such as Woodstock and Monterey Pop, which placed as much emphasis on the crowd as on the musicians. Mabin believed that by removing the audience, the focus would shift entirely to the band and their music, allowing for a more organic artistic expression. The result was something truly haunting and timeless, a surreal, otherworldly concert set in the ruins of history. Pink Floyd, ever meticulous about their sound, insisted on playing live rather than relying on pre-recorded playback. They transported their full touring equipment from London to Pompeii, an endeavor that took 3 days. However, once on location, they encountered a significant challenge. The ancient ruins lacked the necessary power to run their equipment. The crew had to improvise, running a 750-meter cable from the town hall to the amphitheater to provide electricity. The filming conditions were grueling. The band performed under an unforgiving sun, with daytime temperatures reaching 95 degrees, 35 degrees Celsius, while the nights were bitterly cold. Yet, these harsh conditions seemed to enhance the raw energy of their performance. The amphitheater's natural acoustics added an ethereal quality to the sound, making the music feel both intimate and vast. The result was nothing short of mesmerizing. From the very beginning, we take a deep dive into a singular audiovisual experience that transcended the boundaries of a typical concert film. Shots of lava flows, haunting fragments of ancient art, and the ghostly silence of Roman architecture frozen under volcanic ash for nearly 18 centuries, all blended seamlessly with the music. It was as if Pink Floyd were performing not just in a place, but in a memory, one filled with echoes of a lost civilization and the weight of untold stories. In that amphitheater, where thousands had once met a sudden tragic end, the band conjured something both haunting and beautiful. A timeless moment in pop music history that still feels surreal and profound. One of the defining moments of Live at Pompeii is the performance of Echoes, which was split into parts. This epic track, with its sweeping melodies, experimental soundscapes, and seamless transitions, showcased the band's evolution. It was a glimpse into the future, into the direction they were headed.
When you get to Medal, quite clearly, Echoes shows the direction that we're moving in.
Less than 2 years later, Pink Floyd would release the Dark Side of the Moon album in 1973, the album that would catapult them from underground cult status to global rock stardom. When the Dark Side of the Moon was released, it was a massive hit, and it stayed on the Billboard 200 chart for over 700 weeks. Recognizing the growing interest in their work, Mabin re-released Live at Pompeii in 1974, adding behind-the-scenes footage of the band at Abbey Road Studios working on Dark Side, giving fans an intimate look at their creation process. The Dark Side of the Moon was the defining moment in Pink Floyd's career, a true turning point that reshaped everything. It marked the moment they fully came into their own, not just musically, but artistically and culturally. With this album, Pink Floyd was no longer seen as an experimental, drug-associated underground act. They had evolved into a band known for an exceptionally sophisticated sound, layered, conceptual, and yet still accessible to a wide audience. It struck a rare balance, intellectually ambitious but emotionally resonant. For the first time, their identity was clear, and the outdated, drug-oriented label faded into the past, drowned out by the echoes of a masterpiece that would resonate throughout the years.
I can clearly remember that moment of sitting and listening to the whole mix all the way through and thinking, my God, we've really done something fantastic here.
Decades later, Live at Pompeii remains one of the most influential and interesting concert films of all time. It captures Pink Floyd at a crucial moment in their career, just before they ascended to legendary status. It serves as a time capsule, preserving their artistry in an era of transition. In 2016, David Gilmour returned to Pompeii for a historic concert as part of his Rattle That Lock World Tour. Unlike the original film, this time the amphitheater was filled with an audience, bringing full circle the legacy of Pink Floyd's connection to the site. The performance was later released as David Gilmour Live at Pompeii in 2016, proving that even decades later, the magic of that place still resonated. I myself was lucky enough to attend one concert of that tour, not in Pompeii. Amazing sounding experience. Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii is more of an experience than the film itself. It's a haunting, mesmerizing, and deeply atmospheric journey that captures the bands at the cusp of their creative zenith. Over 50 years after its creation, it continues to inspire, mystify, and transport audiences into the heart of the music itself. Whether you're a lifelong fan or discovering it for the first time, Live at Pompeii stands as a testament to Pink Floyd's unparalleled ability to fuse sound and vision into something truly timeless. And that was the story of Live at Pompeii. I remember watching the film over and over. I have the film actually. Here it is. It had a huge impact on me as a young man. And it's quite interesting to me to see how it's connected to The Dark Side of the Moon, which for me is the greatest rock album ever. What about you? Have you seen the film? Now it's a good time to watch it or re-watch it. A new 4K version has just come out. What's your opinion about the film, if you have watched it? And what's your opinion about Dark Side? By the way, what's the greatest album of all time in your opinion? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Let me know in the comments. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time.